Hey everybody, this is Afefe with Touch by Tarot. So glad to see you. If it's your first time to my channel, welcome. I hope you like what you see, and if so, please like and subscribe. All right, trying to grow my channel. I love doing this work, and I always consider it an honor to to show my craft and to hopefully help people. That is always, in the words of Susan Lynn, psychic medium, it's always about helping people, and I hold that true to my heart. All right, so here we go. This is going to be my pick a card reading, one of my pick a card readings for the new moon. We have a new moon in Aquarius coming up, you all, on January 21st. Excited because this is the first new moon of 2023, right? And when we think about setting our intentions and the goals for the year, I really think this new moon in particular kind of sets off a spark for the year to come, all right? Now, this new moon, as I said, in Aquarius, here's something to think about, regardless of what sign you are. And you could have Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, wherever Aquarius may fall in your chart. But here's an interesting thing to think about as we go to this reading. Aquarius is a fascinating sign because on the one hand, it is co-ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Saturn having a lot to do with sort of the structures of our lives, the rules, following the rules, being very detailed, being a good planner, executing things and sort of giving structure, and sometimes even feeling a little restricted in our lives. All right, that's Saturn's energy, also known as the taskmaster. Gotta do it, gotta do it, gotta do it. Co-ruled with Uranus, which is, we're not doing that same old. You're not going to tell me what to do. That sign of, sort of has a rebellious edge to it, very much about the individual as well as the collective, wanting to do things that really help humanity, as well as I'm going to be me. I demand the freedom to be myself. So I'm not doing those restrictions that Saturn may bring. So there's that dichotomy within the energy of Aquarius. So breaking that down, when we're talking about a new moon in Aquarius and how it affects us all, or the potential to affect us all, it is, my thinking is, how is it that we can both show up in the world as ourselves, demanding the freedom to be our authentic selves, at the same time that we are responsible for those we love. We're responsible for our jobs, our families, our careers, the world at large. The two things are always in motion, working around each other, right? So that's something to think about as you, consider what the energy of this new moon in Aquarius is going to bring you. This pick a card I'm asking because new moons can carry energy very often out 6 months. So say between now and June, or now and early summer. So I'm asking, my intention is, I'm going to give you all a leader card. I'm going to do 3 piles. I'm going to give you a leader card, a catalyst, and you'll choose the one that you're most drawn to. Thinking, what should I be prepared for? You be prepared for, and thinking about and intentional about and focused on in this new moon in Aquarius, considering what could happen 6 months out. So what do you need to know from now to 6 months out in the energy of this new moon in Aquarius, how it can impact you and affect you, all right? So I've shuffled the whole time I was talking. Let's get it going. Pile number 1, your catalyst card is closure. Ooh, okay. So if that pings you, I'm going to pull 2 more. Keep that in mind, and I'll show them all to you before I go in. Pile number 1 will be in the area of closure, maybe what you need to bring closure to. Pile number 2 is in the area of spirit guide. So if you're drawn to that, perhaps you really want and connecting or feeling connected to a message from your spirit guide, plurals. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's more. And pile number 3, these are very different. I'll be interested to see how you all feel. This one is in the area of home. So how will home feel in 6 months' time, right? How will pile number 2, spirit guides, within 6 months' time? What messages maybe they're going to convey to you? What revelations you're going to have over the next 6 months? And pile number 1, there was closure. All right? Okay, so I'm going to go in now on the actual reading on those 3 topics. Let me put piles number 2 and 3 over here to the side, And pile number one, I will timestamp these. You may feel called to more than one. But for pile number one, we're going to go in if you chose closure. And I'm a little hoarse. Let me whip my whistle. Okay. I'm going to do my usual and do a combination of both tarot and oracle cards. Let me get them on the table, and then I will show them to you. Let's see what's up. 6 months, the area of closure, or over the course of 6 months, the area of closure, pile number one. It is very powerful for you. I'll tell you that much. I pulled 3 cards in tarot. Your first 2 are major arcana. We know when we see major arcana, it's a definite heads up from spirit, like we are speaking and we are speaking loudly. Major arcana in tarot, for those of you who may not know, are the more, the larger issues of life. It's not the day-to-day trivial stuff, you know, what am I fixing for dinner kind of thing. It's more, who am I? What am I? What am I moving toward? What do I need to leave behind? Talking about that closure, that if you chose that. So here we have the star, interestingly enough, in tarot, ruled by Aquarius. Don't you love it? All right. So the star ruled by Aquarius has a lot to do. I think pile number one, there's some hopes that you are having. And in order for you to really move toward those dreams and those hopes, you know, the star is very much a forward focused card. It is a card that no matter what has happened in the past, you know, no matter where you've been up until now, there is always hope. There is always room for improvement. There is always room for change, right? There's always room for deciding I've done this long enough. Now I'm ready to do something else. Takes us back to closure. Very, very connected to that. Second card, second major arcana, is the High Priestess. Now, pile number one, I think for some of you, part of this closure that's going to occur for you, or maybe even already in the process of occurring, it is things that are being revealed to you, things that you've always known, you know, perhaps a relationship that you've known wasn't really healthy. Maybe your relationship with something, it could even be, you know, this is a higher vibrational card, as I said, but it could be something in your everyday life, like your budgetary habits. You know, are you overspending? Are you taking care of and planning for your future? Because that would be a larger issue. That coming along with the star is definitely about your future. But with the High Priestess, it's also understanding what you come equipped with, what it is that you already know, sort of your karma, your history. And it can also be things that are being brought to light. Sometimes when the High Priestess comes you out, it is something that either you really do not know and it is going to come to light, or something that you have an inkling of, something in the back of your mind, your intuition being highlighted. Thinking again, this is a moon energy, new moon, which pings our intuition. It is a very feminine energy. And so it pings that intuition. So there's something that you already know, even if something pulled you to this pile number one and you're not even quite sure, well, I don't know what it is I need to close. You're going to. Because that High Priestess, you are going to get a revelation. And there's a part of you, I think, that subconsciously you already get a notion. Now, your third card is the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is actually a really beautiful card, pile number one, around commitments, around people coming together. You see, even it's very often a card indicating marriage or contracts or long-term commitment. It could even, on the domestic front, it could be moving. So for some of you who that closure could tie into the notion of closing out where you are now, whether it's a current job, a current living situation, your home, but literally moving into a different space. And it's going to take some time, because one thing about the star, it is hopeful, but it's not a bada bing bada bang kind of energy. It's an energy that takes time. You got to feed it. You got to plant your seeds. You got to envision it. You got to take it step by step and make sure you're doing it the right way. I want to pull a couple of more clarifiers around this, because there's a couple of things I think pile number one is pretty clear here. This is something, the closure is on something that you have been committed to for a long period of time. For many of you, I do feel this could be in the area of business or the way that you've done business. Doesn't mean that you have to jump up and leave it, but the way you have done it, there needs to be something that is being brought to your attention with that high priestess around a new way to do it, okay? We have the magician. There is a lot of really powerful energy around you, pile number one. This closure, the magician, is very much about, you know how to do this. You know how to make this closure happen, even if you have not quite put all the pieces together yet. But you have the tools and the resources available to you. That's what Spirit says with the magician. And I think there's a part of you, pile number one, that is, you know how to be self-reliant, even if this involves a partnership, a job, an actual relationship, whatever that might be, that this closure is calling for. And it could also, keep in mind, closure doesn't always mean the end of the thing itself. It could very often mean the end of how it is operating, right? Bringing closure, say for instance, you've been in the act of, this is coming to mind, forgiveness with a family member. And, over time, when you have conversation, the same topic keeps coming up over and over again, right? So you got to bring closure, not because you're ending the relationship, but because in order for the relationship to progress, going back to that star energy, in order for the relationship to progress, you've got to bring closure to that pain, that sense of betrayal or frustration or whatever it may be. You get it? So the magician is saying, you know how to do it. It is ruled by Mercury. It is meaning communication, meaning your prayers, meaning your thoughts, meaning the things that spark and make you think about what actions you actually know how to take and are going to take. Now, it is your last card here is the Two of Pentacles. This, again, is not something this closure is not going to happen overnight, and nor should it, pile number one, because the fact that we have all this major arcana energy with the star, the high priestess, and the magician, this is important. And so it shouldn't be taken lightly. You should take your time with it. I think also, remember, we're doing this reading for 6 months out, right? So that could very well indicate why it is something that's going to occur. The closure, the shifting is something that's going to occur over time, because you have to gather your resources, meaning identifying exactly what it is, thinking about the best way to go about it, going to that Aquarian star energy, right? Because again, Aquarius is a sign of the individual, but it's also a sign that deals with the impact on the larger whole. So you've got to figure that out. And that's that teeter-totter I was just feeling. That's that juggling. You see holding that figure, holding those two pentacles there. So there's some juggling that you've got to do. And perhaps it is because you're thinking about the way to be fair in the situation. You're thinking about how to go about it. All right, pile number one. So that's your closure. It's definitely something that if you do not know it already, it's going to come clear to you, and it's going to take place over time because it's important. This is a heavy subject. Whatever area of life it is for you all, it is heavy. Heavy meaning important. So you don't want to have to look back and think, oh, I did it the wrong way. You really want to be clear and follow your intuition. That's where that high priestess comes in. But it's going to be a process for you, but it's going to be very healthy and definitely necessary. All right? Okay, pile number one. So let's go ahead and move on now to pile number two, those of you who chose your spirit guide. All right? Or it's a spirit guide. Now, I wonder, even going into this, if some of you who chose this, who were attracted to pile number two, if you are maybe even in search of your spirit guide, or you're feeling like you want to know more about how to connect with your spirit guide, parentheses S, because you can have more than one. All right, so let's get some clarity around that. Why did Spirit Guide come to speak to those who chose pile number two? And how is that going to play out over the next 6 months? How is pile number two, those who chose it, in the Spirit Guide, how does that play out for them over the next 6 months? What do they need to know? Let's going to happen over the next 6 months relating to the spirit guide who's speaking here. All right, pile number 2. You got the Queen of Swords with Justice. Also an air sign ruled by Libra. With the Eight of Wands. All right, I got it. Pile number 2, your spirit guide has shown up here in this reading to speak directly to you. All right, so it is a message and it is decisive, and I tend to think that it is coming from a feminine energy. All right, so feminine meaning a spirit guide who exudes feminine energy, that works with you, that is around you, that has been assigned to you during this lifetime. And she understands the ups and downs, it could be more than one feminine energy, but they understand the ups and downs, but they're not moved. They are saying you are not moved by emotion in this the course of this next 6 months. Queen of Swords also bringing this air energy, so could be ruled by Aquarius. Some of you, again, with Aquarius sun, moon, or rising energy might have been attracted to this deck. To this number 2 in particular. But the Queen of Swords is very much, isn't about, oh my, what should I do? And being overruled with emotions. It's a very decisive energy. It's a very clear, intelligent, rational energy. It is an energy that can sometimes move a little too quickly. And so I think that's why she comes with the major arcana Justice. Justice ruled by Libra, a fellow air sign to Aquarius, but also justice having to do with what is right, what is fair, how to do things, how to find those win-win situations. And so I think, and being in a harmonious relationship. Your spirit guide wants you to be in harmony with it or them. But the way to do that, they are saying, is to think more about what you want that relationship to look like, and to actively seek that insight and the communication from them, to sometimes turn your, even though I said actively think, but it's like not dictate the terms of the relationship, not, I want you to come to me, what is your message for me, but allow them or her to come to you. And I say that because your third card here is the Eight of Wands. Again, all of these can deal with communication in a very strong way. Certainly the Queen of Swords and the Eight of Wands, you all. And what is being communicated is around what is fair. For some of you who chose this pile, I think there's some healing that's going on for you all, because something has happened that in particular has stayed within you, is in your energy field, that was not fair, or that you felt was not fair, whether or not you have articulated that. But it is certainly something that you've thought about, and something that in your mindset, in your planning going into 2023 and your goals for 2023, I think it's something to do with knowing what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, what you are willing to bring in your relationships. And this could be romantic or in your home on the domestic front, as well as your professional relationships. If you are an entrepreneur, it could be your relationships with your clientele, etc., etc. But Libra is always about how to bring those scales into balance. It wants harmony. It does not do well with conflict. It is not an energy that works well with conflict. And so I think what's happening is you've been thinking about connecting, because whatever's going on in your life, and certainly how it's going to play out over the next 6 months, pile number 2, it can't be where you dictate the terms. It's got to be more around what is ultimately fair to everyone involved, because that's really what's going to make you feel at peace and settled with moving forward, with really owning what it is that you want to happen in your life this year, knowing that it can impact others. And so you want those Libra scales, you want that justice. But there's a karmic equation here as well. I want to pull a couple cards to get clarity around that. And I say karmic because it just feels like there's some history behind this. Whatever adjustment that your spirit guide wants to help you make, and the reason why you chose this and you're seeking your spirit guide is because you need the assistance, and the assistance is available here to you for something higher to come in and give you insight around the best course to proceed, around what it is that you are ready to hear. There's some truth telling for you all, pile number 2, in the next 6 months. And really, it is about what you're ready to hear around your social circle, around what makes you happy, around your commitment. For those of you who are in long-standing relationships and there's a question mark about where do we go from here, you're going to get some guidance around that. It's divine guidance, because sometimes I think what Spirit is saying here is it's not always just what we believe we should be able to openly communicate with somebody. And I'm being on the level with you, you're going to be on the level with me, but sometimes you got to have that extra added perspective. That's one reason why we use tarot, right? There's also some travel for some of you all. And I think it's long overdue travel. I think your spirit guide is saying it's long overdue travel, because the 8 of Wands sometimes can indicate some travel, going from one place to another. And because I just pulled this celebratory 3 of Cups for you all, it could be time to travel. It could be making up your mind. I've stayed still long enough and I deserve this trip. You got the Tower. I love it. Although a lot of times when we pull the Tower, people are like, oh, why? Because it indicates this incredible disruption. But think about it. Aquarius, again, we said Uranus in the mix. Uranus will shake things up. Now, the Tower card ruled by Pluto shakes it up a little more drastically. But I understand. Your spirit guides, the spirit guide card is coming. And one reason why you chose it is because you want harmony in this situation, pile number 2. You don't want to destroy anything. You don't want to destroy someone's feelings. You don't want to be the source or the cause of someone else's pain. You certainly don't want to cause it to yourself. You don't want to, dismantle your own, desires and what you've been building here. So there's something that it has to change. When you get the Tower, there is change within the next 6 months. There is some changes that I think are going to make, and they are coming your way because of that 8 of Wands. And you're ready for them. You're preparing for them because of this Queen of Swords. And again, I think both ways, both you individually, this could be your thinking, but because you pulled this spirit guide, I think this energy, this information, this insight, you're going to get pinged. It could very well be, pay attention to your dreams. Because it could very well be you'll get a message from your dreams. You're going to hear something. It could be some music that you hear, some lyrics to a song that, or some old song that you used to really like, and it'll come back to you, some of the lyrics. But there are messages for you in those. And those messages are around how you are going to be able to adapt to this necessary change. And it could be strong changes. This could be changing a job. It could be, sorry, I got to have some more water. It could be, it could also be deep, fundamental, personal changes that you're making. They just gave me that. So in other words, say, you're into metaphysical studies and some people in your life just don't understand what that's all about. You got to go for self, and you're going to go for self, but you want to do it in a way that causes Page of Cups, because you want to do it in a way that causes the least amount of pain, the least amount of, you don't do drama. This is not about drama, and your spirit guide isn't doing drama either, pile number 2. You got the Page of Cups here. So overall, the energy that I'm picking up for you all, if you chose this pile number 2 in the spirit guide, you are a bit of a love muffin, whether or not you think of yourself in those terms. And I think something has been holding you, I won't say holding you back from fully expressing that, but perhaps there's been a little doubt around it. Perhaps life has changed in ways that's made it more challenging for you to show up for yourself or for others in the way that somehow in the back of your, in your soul, in the back of your mind, you know that you want to do it. So your spirit guide, that's why you chose spirit guide again, because there is this guidance that you need and that you are going to get around. I went into this reading in this new moon in Aquarius saying there's, on the one hand, a strong individual, demanding freedom, demanding authenticity, demanding to be who you really are, but also understanding that you're doing that in the context of the world you live in, your family, your job, your tribe, et cetera, et cetera. So there's this dynamic. Talking about justice again and balancing those scales. There's this dynamic, pile number 2, that you really are undergoing. But what's prompting you most of all is you want to feel love. You want to feel joy. You want to go about this next leg, in 2023, being more free to move. Maybe that is going back to that vacation. But it's free to be who you are, and you do need some assistance. And so that's what your spirit guides have shown up for today, is to say, we're going to be there for you. Again, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to music, pay attention to the things that people innocently don't even necessarily know what's going on in your mind about these changes. But pay attention to things that they say to you, and you may hear some common themes coming from people. I think maybe, have you ever thought about going to such and such a place or doing this or that kind of thing? It's going to ping you. Whereas maybe before it might have gone in one ear and out the other. But now, over the course of this next 6 months, your spirit guides are going to help you hear it, think about it, and act on it. All right, pile number 2. Let me know how that goes. That's exciting, because what it indicates is there's so much more on the horizon for you. But it does require you accepting and owning up to the fact that some things, it can't be business as usual. It's not going to be business as usual. All right. Having said that, I'm going to move on now to pile number 3. Those of you who chose home. How is home going to, feel and vibe over the next 6 months? What does Spirit want to say to you about home over the next 6 months? Going into this new moon in Aquarius, first new moon of the year. How does home feel over the next 6 months? What developments can you expect? Pile number 3. What does home feel like over the next 6 months? Okay. That feels good. Home over the next 6 months for pile number 3. The Chariot. Here we go. Ruled by Cancer, very much a home sign. Wow. Now, I shuffled these cards very well, and I'm going to tell you, those of you who chose pile number 3, I would recommend that you also maybe check out pile number 2 as well. And I say that because 2 of the 3 cards that I just pulled for you were also showed up in the spirit guide one for pile number 2. All right, so just putting that out there for you. Your primary energy, though, that first came is the Chariot. I will say, because Spirit just gave it to me, this is number 7 in the major arcana. 2023, for those of you who are into numerology, equates to a number 7. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 is the number 7. 7 is a deeply spiritual sign. Deeply spiritual number, right? And with the Chariot, it has to do with, it is ruled by Cancer, the sign Cancer, and it has very much to do with home, right? Cancer is all about home and family and making sure that everybody's okay, about being nurtured, etc. There is some sort of movement in your home. Those of you who chose pile number 3, there either has been movement or there will be movement. And when I say that, I don't mean necessarily moving homes, but movement within the home. How do you shift the energy? Could be redecorating your home, could be giving your home, we talk about spring cleaning, because this reading is over the next 6 months. So it could be shifting the energy of your home with a serious, spring cleaning, getting rid of things that you no longer need. It's about restoring balance into your home. Justice came. All right. It's about restoring some form of balance and harmony within the home. It's kind of, for those of you who may be into, feng shui and all of that, it's about the actual energy within your home, within, and also this could be, they just gave me, this could be the home, meaning your temple, your body, how you care for your body, how you restore you're taking care of your immune system and making sure that your diet is balanced. But there's something that's moving quickly and will be moving quickly for you over the next 6 months, pile number 3, because we got that 8 of Wands. 8 of Wands is where something is coming in, right? Something is coming in, or you could be making swift moves. I want to get a little more clarity around that, because the Chariot is also about, this is a really interesting combination in terms of the images offered here, because notice she's in that wheelchair, which could end on a beach, no less. Can you imagine wheeling a wheelchair through that sand and the energy that it would take? All right, but she's got those helpers. She's got her loyal, her doggy friends there who are going to help her. Her arms are thrown up. Her head is tilted back to the sky. She has no worries. She knows that she's going to get where she needs to go. So that's you, pile number 3. With this home, you know who you are, and you know how you want to feel in your home, how you want to feel in your body, how you want life to feel in this new year. And for you, it's a certain eagerness that you have. It's a certain, like, yes, I'm ready, let's go. I want to get a little deeper into that, because that Justice card, you got 2 major arcana there. That Justice card is about doing it in a way, going and knowing that where you are going is going to solidify your home and solidify your relationships and bring you more of a sense of, they say home is where the heart is, right? Sounds like a cliche, but it's true. The Knight of Wands, being very passionate and having renewed, and the King of Swords. Yes, this pile number 3, there's some decisions that are being made to restore passion in your home. I think for some of you, and again, these are general readings, so it may not apply to everyone, but I'm giving you the impression that I'm getting intuitively. For some of you, this is about, over the course of the next 6 months, changing the dynamic of how your home feels, how it feels to you. If that means redecorating, moving some things around, being decisive about responsibilities in the home. For those of you who may, you have multiple people in your home. So who does what? Everything from, who's in charge, who helps maintain the home, just the things that help the home function. There's some of that involved. If you are, I'm going to go back to now, if you are moving ahead and you are making a decision to move, or you're thinking about long term in 2023, what is my next move? Where should I be? What does home really feel like for me ultimately? There's some element of Spirit is saying, be very decisive. Don't hem and haw. This is not the year that you want to hem and haw around that, meaning, well, maybe I could, but I'm kind of comfortable where I am, and I've been here a really long time, and or again, if it's your body, your home, your temple, I've done this forever, so why should I? I've been a carnivore all my life. What is all this with the vegan stuff? Maybe there's something to it, right? Just using that as an example for the kind of changes that Spirit is saying with that King of Swords, you've got to be ready to make. You've got to be ready to look yourself in the eye in 2023, pile number 3, and say, what does this even mean to me at this point in time? It's got to be way more than, warm food and what's on cable TV and and that sort of thing. It's got to be more than the plants and the animals, and it's got to be more than that. Yeah, we got a confirmation here. We got the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles being earth, what stabilizes you, what you build on, how you how you operate, right? But it's also the beginning of something and how you do it, because aces represent the potential for beginning. So what is it that you want to start over the next 6 months in terms of how you want your home to feel? In terms of what home really means to you? In terms of, how you want to build a place. Your home should be your sanctuary. That's what they're giving me. Your home should be your sanctuary. And so with that Justice card coming, if there's anything that's gotten that out of balance, then that's what this next 6 months is about. There's something new that you're moving toward, to add a level of stability, to add a new look, to add a new feel, to give it more comfort in the way that you can do materially, because we're dealing with home. Then that's what it is that you're doing, pile number 3. I feel like I want to pull one more card for you. That Knight of Wands is also coming on very strong too, because remember, Knights are movement. And I think what Spirit is saying here is this is the year for you to do that. If you've been thinking maybe it's a redecorating project, maybe it's an add-on to your existing home, whatever it is that home represents for you. Maybe it's someone living in your home or someone you want to welcome to live in your home. Maybe it's combining homes. So many scenarios that can play out around that topic of home, but it has to be something that brings you equilibrium, that brings you a sense of, and there we have another 7, the 7 of Wands. Now, this is a card very often around feeling challenged to do things your way. So I wonder if for some of you who were drawn to this pile number 3, this home, if there has been some friction or something where everybody's not seeing, the same thing. Everybody doesn't have the same vision. Everybody's not in sync, talking about justice and things being in harmony. Everybody's not in sync about how things are supposed to go. So I think this, again, new moon in Aquarius, where you have this sense of being an individual at the same time that you're fitting into this larger whole. That's what has to come into play. And Spirit wants you to know, with that 7 of, with that Chariot also being a 7, that you're going to get there. You are going to get there. Your spirit guides, your ancestors, however you identify, you're going to get there. But it's just a question of how to keep moving, because both of these cards are sometimes there's movement, but you don't want to be rash. You don't want to be, I know best and listen to me. It can't be done in a way of conflict. It has to be done in a way of rational decisions and choices being made. It can't be, sort of competitively trying to outwit anybody else. It's more about how do you develop and persuade. These are some powers of persuasion here going on as well, to overcome what you may even think of as challenges that you would expect. If I decide, I'm going to use a really silly example here, but you'll get the drift. I decide, talking about home, I decide I want to paint all the walls, some shade of green, and whoever else may live in the house with you is like, I can't stand green. Why would we even do that? And you're like, no, but green is prosperity and abundance, and it brings peace and all these other, and so there's this aspect of, maybe there's one room that you spend a lot of time in that you will paint green, while the other person decides, with you, what's equal, what's harmonious, what really works for everybody involved. Aquarius energy. All right, pile number 3, that's really what's happening for you on the home front. And again, I highly recommend that you take a look also at that pile number 2, the spirit guides message. All right, you all, it's been a pleasure. I am redesigning my website. I wasn't happy with some things, so I'm not recommending that you go there. If you want to book with me, please email me directly. My books are opening up again the last week of January. So feel free to reach out to me at Touched by Tarot. It's my name on YouTube, touchedbytarot@gmail.com. I'm really responsive. I always get back within 24 hours and we'll set something up. All right. So good luck with this new moon in Aquarius. Enjoy this energy. Think about it. All three of these piles, because we were looking at a long-term thing. So all three piles are not about instant boom, solutions to things or making instant changes. Everything is about a progression and moving forward, because when you do it that way, it's more long lasting. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Wishing you the best. Bye.